Hi, my name's Douglas Baldwin. I recently wrote the cookbook Sous Vide for the Home Cook, and today I'm going to show you how I cook chicken breasts sous vide. First, take your chicken breasts and place them in a vacuum bag. I often fold over the edge so that it's easier to vacuum seal. Unfold it. I'm going to be using a clamp style vacuum sealer because that's the vacuum type sealer that most home cooks will have. There's also chamber style vacuum sealers, but they're very expensive. Now that I vacuum sealed this one, I'll show you an alternate method. In case you don't have a vacuum sealer, you can also use a Ziploc bag. You can displace the air with a bowl of cold water. First though, you need to add a little liquid to the bag. For chicken, I just add a 1/4 cup of chicken broth, and then you submerge the bottom of the bag into the water, push out most of the air, and then starting on one side, feed it under the water. And by doing this, you keep the water out, and you can see that there's almost no air in there. Okay, now that we've vacuum sealed or Ziplocked the chicken, I place it in this convenient cooking rack. This is one of the best design features of the SousVide Supreme water bath, is this wonderful rack. So we take the rack of chicken, place it in the water. This will keep the chicken from floating and not cooking evenly. As you may be able to see, I've picked 140 degrees Fahrenheit to cook the chicken. Now most traditional cooking techniques usually cook the interior of the chicken to 165 degrees Fahrenheit because that temperature and the food pathogens that could make you sick are killed almost instantaneously. You can also kill these same food pathogens at the lower temperature of 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius. It just takes a lot longer to cook. For these chicken breasts, I'm going to cook them for at least 2 hours in this 140 degree water bath. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours and we can take the chicken out. So I've taken the chicken out of the bag and I've dried it with paper towels because any moisture on the surface would first have to boil off before it can start to brown in the hot pan. I'm going to heat the oil up until it's smoking hot, and you'll be able to see little wisps of smoke in the camera, and then I will sear it for about 20 seconds on each side. I can do this very short searing time because the chicken is already cooked. Pat off some of the oil. You can see that's a very nice golden brown. It only took about 20 seconds for each side. So for the second method, we're going to use a little bit of chemistry to make the browning reaction go faster with a lower oil temperature. So when chicken or meat is browned, it's something called the browning or Maillard reaction. And this is a complex reaction between the amino acids, which are basically the proteins, and a reducing sugar, such as glucose, fructose, or lactose. This is different from regular table sugar, which is sucrose. So I'm mixing together a little water and a little corn syrup, which is mostly glucose and fructose. So how quickly things brown also depends on temperature. That's why in the first method I showed you, I use a very hot oil because most oil, such as vegetable oil that I'm using, smokes at around 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius. This can be quite intimidating for even the most experienced cook, especially with all the oil splattering as you're searing. By washing this with a little bit of corn syrup and water, then I can do it at a much lower temperature where the oil is just shimmering instead of smoking. Okay, so now I've seared both chicken breasts. You can see that the little bit of glucose wash really helped the browning of the chicken. Where this is the chicken breast that was seared at the very hot, smoking hot oil, This one was seared in a shimmering oil, and both took about 20 seconds for each side. Okay, so I've just finished searing the 2 chicken breasts. This was a chicken breast that was seared with corn syrup wash. And you can see that it's still very nice and moist. This was the chicken breast that I seared with the smoking hot oil. And you can see that it is also very moist and tender, and that it is nice and white throughout and not at all pink, despite cooking at a much lower temperature.